Everyone, this is a video for a Samsung dryer not heating. I don't know if you can tell if this is the same model you have by the panel here. The number is right here. That's my model number. Basically, not heating. It turns on, it spins. I've already been through the whole, replace the heating element, the thermal fuse, the thermostat. I already did all that. It still wouldn't heat. If this is your first time with your Samsung dryer not heating, I recommend going and doing this, the heating coil and the thermostat and all that. I have a video on how to do that and how to check it, measure it. That's like, it seems like that's 90% of the problem. 90% of the time that's the problem with these things not heating. But this time, it's been like probably about a year since I did the coil and everything. It just stopped heating. It would turn on. It turns on fine. I push go and everything works, and it just doesn't dry. My problem was actually my plug here. It's a 3-prong plug, and I'll show you a picture. The lint somehow got in there and filled up the plug so much that it wasn't able to get enough voltage to run the dryer part of the dryer. So basically my vent goes into my wall and up and out, but for some reason some of this lint and vent exhaust can get into this plug, so it filled my plug up and caused too much resistance, so the wire couldn't get enough voltage here to the dryer. I thought that these were like TVs, that when you just plug them into the wall, and if it turns on and goes, then it obviously has enough voltage to do its thing. That is incorrect. I was incorrect. And basically, the wall will supply this dryer with 100 and about 20 volts to turn on, to run, to spin, but the heating element part of this dryer requires the additional 120 volts of the wall as well. So it requires about 240 volts from the wall to run correctly. Now your breaker may be tripping. I'll show you my breaker. Out here in my breaker, you can see it says dryer right here. Now you might want to check yours, because it's two of them, so one of yours might be switched over. You can switch it back, check that, or just flip them and switch them back just to check that first. Just make sure it's only your dryer. And I will show you how to check your voltages with the voltmeter. The plug, it was actually kind of awkward because I have short pins or short heads on my multimeter, so I'll just show you pictures about how to check it. Obviously, this is a very high voltage plug. If you don't know what you're doing or you're not familiar, I would recommend not doing it. First one we're going to do is we're going to check this one to this one. I believe this is a neutral and this is a power, so it should be about 120 from here to here. Looking at the arrows, make these two measurements. If your meter says OL, you might be on the wrong setting, so make sure that it can read up to 120. And then what I did is I switched to 600 volts and I read the 240 measurement right here. So hopefully you have that voltage. Also make sure that your plug's just not wobbly. Mine was wobbly, and it could have been losing connection. It's just a mess. If you still check that and you still have problems, you could check the board, the circuit board. I pulled mine out a couple times to double check it. Circuit board is actually easy to check. You just take this screw out, fold this up like that, and it'll have a white cover on it. It's easy. You just pop it off. It's real easy. And you could basically all you can do is really visually inspect all these capacitors and the circuit board. Look for any burn spots. Does it smell burnt? Are there any problems with the wires? Did a rat get in here, chew any wires? This is also a circuit board in here. It's more of like just the buttons though. I took that out and checked it, but there's not really much to look at. Unfortunately, this board is called a PCB board. I believe there's a part number right here, and there's also, I saw another part number I think on the bottom. If you take this screw out right here, so my camera keeps autofocusing, you could pop this out, and I think there's a part number on the bottom. I was gonna say, unfortunately, this is like they have that, like, it's not glue, but it's like plastered in place, so you can't take this out and look at the back. That's really how you would check a circuit board, is you would not only look at the capacitors on the front, but you would look on the back and see on the bottom where all the solder joints are, if there's any burnt ones, broke ones, any like service distortions. But there's, unfortunately, this is glued in place, so you can't really see that. So your best bet is just to check on top. I was actually zeroing in on this, even though I couldn't find anything wrong. I already replaced all the thermal coil and the thermostat and the fuse and all that shit, so I was thinking this has to be it. But no, it was just the wire. I mean, it was just so simple. I didn't even think about it. You know, you always got to check your voltage, you know, your basic voltage. And yep, also with it plugged in, you could undo this screw, and then your wires are connected right here, and you could check it at the dryer. I would definitely not recommend that unless you're like really familiar with electrical. This dryer has been like just a pain since we had it, and it's a shame because you know, just people who work, they spend extra money to you know, do a good dryer, and it ends up messing up all the time. Obviously this time it wasn't its fault, but I just see a lot of, during my research, I see a lot of problems with this and the circuit board. But anyways, that's off point. So yeah, check that. And hopefully this video helped you out, solve your problem. Good luck, and like I said, check part 1 before you do any of the things in this video. Check the coil and the thermostat.